what's up, everyone? Hope you're having a good week so far and hope you had a good weekend. You may have seen talks about, this topic that I'm going to discuss today because it's interesting, to say the least. So, recently, just to give a little bit of context, Todd Phillips, the director of the first Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix, he recently basically confirmed that Joker, a sequel to Joker, is in the works. He shared a picture of the script, the cover of the script, on his Instagram, as well as a picture of Joaquin Phoenix looking at the script. So I know some people are. I know there's kind of people on the fence just about the fact that there's going to be a sequel in the first place, because some people feel like it was just brilliant in itself, in its own right. It doesn't necessarily need a sequel. I'm kind of on the fence about it. I can see both sides of, making a sequel, and then people who feel like it doesn't really need one. I can see both sides. But now there is the Hollywood Reporter is claiming that Lady Gaga is in early talks to join Joaquin Phoenix and Todd Phillips in a musical sequel as Harley Quinn. So there's a lot going on here that I think is surprising if this turns out to be at least somewhat true. Now, Lady Gaga, I'm not saying that, oh, she's a singer and blah, 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 so she can't be. No, there's plenty of singers that are very good in acting roles as well. She has kind of earned her own recognition as an actress. So I don't really doubt her in that way. I think it's an interesting choice. At the same time, however, this musical thing is what is really throwing me off. I don't see how that could possibly. How could that be a thing after the first one? I don't know. The Joker is back, and this time he's bringing a friend. Lady Gaga is in early talks to star opposite Joaquin Phoenix and director Todd Phillips' sequel to Joker, the Oscar-winning $1 billion grossing 2019 Warner Brothers hit based on the DC villain. Phillips has been writing the script with Joker co-writer Scott Silver for some time and has finally shown it to the studio. Last week, Phillips revealed on his social media the title of the new project, Joker Folie à Deux. I hope I said that somewhat correctly, referencing a medical term for an identical or similar mental disorder that affects two or more individuals, usually members of the same family. So that could be referencing two different things. We saw that, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, at the end of Joker, we kind of find out that all of these things that had been going on between him and, what's her name? His female love interest, I forgot her name in the movie, that he thought what was happening was actually in his mind. And we've realized that his mom was probably suffering from the same mental disorder. So that could be referencing the two of them, or more likely, probably Harley Quinn, since she kind of, becomes his partner in crime. And while the same social media post showed Phoenix reading the script, the actor's involvement is not exactly a fait accompli just yet. Sources tell the Hollywood Reporter that Warner's has yet to close a deal with the actor, with the two sides deep into it. So obviously he's going to be playing his role again. This is just saying that they don't know exactly the details of the contract. Details on her character, enter Gaga. Okay, details on her character are being kept under wraps, but Joker is known for his on-off abusive relationship with Harley Quinn, his psychiatrist at the Arkham Asylum mental institution, who falls in love with him and becomes his sidekick and partner in crime. It is unclear whether Phillips and company are using other DC characters or striking out on their own, as they did in many instances with the first movie. So again, I think, this just talks about how it'd be a different universe than the Margot Robbie Harley Quinn, obviously. We know that, okay, at the end of the movie, he is in a mental institution, like Arkham. So that could be a segue to introduce, Harleen Quinzel, if she is treating him in that capacity, in this mental institution or Arkham. So there could be, they kind of left that at the end to be like, oh, this is a segue to bring in Harley Quinn. So I could see, obviously, if they take a different approach with the Harley Quinn character, much like they did with Joker. It was obviously a very different take on the character, which I totally appreciated. And probably why it was so successful, and of course because Joaquin Phoenix's performance was outstanding. So it could be a very different approach on the character, um, just like it was with Joker, which could, you know, kind of explain why they would cast someone like Lady Gaga. I don't know. But, you know, going on to the musical thing, when Warner's first made Joker, it was far from a sure thing. The studio didn't get what he was trying to do. No surprise there with the old regime. A dark and moody character piece, obviously, was being, compared to Taxi Driver, um, things like that. So I don't see how it could be. I mean, it won a lot of awards. It got a ton of, there's a picture of the Joaquin Phoenix and the script. I don't see how I don't know, I don't understand where the musical thing is coming into play. I don't really understand that. But wait, yeah, that's not all. Sources say the sequel's also musical. I don't understand how that could, after seeing the first movie, I don't understand how that could possibly work. I just don't. I'm sorry. I don't get it. I don't understand that. I'd hope that, I mean, is, I just don't know what to say about that. I don't see how that could possibly be a thing. Sorry for the screaming. My kids are playing outside and the mic still picks it up even though it's like in the backyard. But anyway, I would be surprised if this is the way that they go as far as the musical aspect. Um, I think it's great if they introduce, if, Harley is in this universe, that's great. I just don't get how it could possibly be a musical thing. Because I would like to see this version of Joker, Arthur Fleck, like how he would interact with whatever version of, Harley and Quinzel that they decide to, if it's Lady Gaga or whoever else. I would like to see their interaction and the type of, how that plays out with this version of Joker, because again, very different from other versions of Joker that we have seen in the past. It was more of like a character study. It wasn't necessarily a comic book movie. It was, which, of course the studio was like, this is never going to work and blah, blah, blah. And boy, did, Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix prove them wrong, which I'm very happy that it was so successful. So in that aspect, I could see, it was very successful. It got a ton of recognition and awards, made a ton of money. I could see why in that way they would want to make a sequel. However, on the other end of it, I just don't know if the approach that they took and the story necessarily needs a sequel. Like, when movies are that way, like, not every movie needs a sequel. And I kind of feel like in some ways, this movie was one of those movies. It just is a good standalone film, and I don't necessarily know that it needs a sequel. And I think that's why a lot of people are kind of like, but why? It was just so good the way it was. Like, sequels can sometimes, when a movie comes out this great and is so successful in this way, and is very different from other, I mean, it's hard to keep doing the same characters over and over again because you have to come up with you want to have your own approach, and you also want things, those familiar things that people expect to be there at the same time. So I feel like, they did a really good job of taking their own spin on the character and at the same time having things that are familiar that we know about the character. We saw Thomas Wayne, we saw Bruce Wayne, there's things that are familiar about the character in this. It wasn't like he was unrecognizable as the Joker. It was just a very different approach. It was a little sad in a lot of ways. So I would like to see a Harley Quinn in this universe, and how that interaction would play out. Because again, this world that he created in his mind with the girl that lived, I can't remember her name. The love interest that he had, the girl that lived in his building, and realizing that it was in his head and it wasn't actually happening. That was like a devastating twist in this movie. And I wonder how it would play out with Harley, since again, she kind of, she develops this adoration for Joker. And so it would be interesting to see the approach that Todd Phillips takes with them. Again, this musical thing, I just don't understand. There was a couple of scenes in Joker where he's dancing and things like that, but I don't see that doesn't necessarily mean that like a musical would work. Musical is a very specific type of film. Don't get me wrong. There are some musicals that I have loved my whole life. Grease, for one. There are some great musicals. I mean, everything Disney does is a musical. Um, animation. And I love a lot of most of those movies growing up, but I don't see how this could possibly be a musical. I don't know. That's really throwing me for a loop. But I guess we'll keep an eye on this and see what other, developments come. If there's any other, I mean, there has to be follow ups to this one way or another. So, yeah, just wanted to share that because I think it's very interesting in a lot of ways. But thank you guys for watching. Check out the links in the description and don't forget to leave a thumbs up and or subscribe if you would like to. But thanks for the support on the channel, guys, and we'll see you soon.